house. And I told the realtor they haven't even seen it yet. And the realtor said, yeah, they did. They've seen the movie 30 times. They've seen the visual tour about your house 30 times. And these are investors that have been sitting in California, or home buyers that have been sitting in California or New Mexico or Florida watching these movies, waiting to get to Houston to buy these homes. So you want a realtor who understands how to get to those out-of-state buyers. Out-of-state buyers have more money. They can close quicker. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to sell a home to someone who lives in Houston, but the realtors who just advertise here in Houston really are doing a disservice to their clients because those are only half the home buyers right now. So I would say make sure your realtor has a real clear marketing plan of how he's going to draw those out-of-state people to you. And if they don't have that, you probably have a problem.
With the number of foreclosures in Houston, is that bringing down the value of my home?
It can, but it shouldn't. I don't look at foreclosures. Experienced realtors don't look at foreclosures. And even though I've only been in the business 2 years, I've sold over 150 houses. So I consider myself very experienced because most realtors have been in the business 10 years and not sold that many. But as an experienced realtor, I don't look at foreclosures in a neighborhood as comps. I would say neighborhoods that have a lot of foreclosures should scare you a little. And a lot of times the builders have attributed to neighborhoods having foreclosure issues. A neighborhood with a couple poor builders or poor developers in it can really cause a neighborhood to be a foreclosure type neighborhood. They put people in the adjustable rate mortgages that Renee referred to that just shouldn't be in the homes to sell a home. They don't look at it, they look at it selling a house. They're not creating a home environment for someone, they're just selling a house. When you have neighborhoods that weren't developed properly, you're going to have foreclosure issues. But if you have a neighborhood that was developed properly and was sold properly with care, you shouldn't have a lot of those. So foreclosures can bring down a neighborhood, but I don't look at it as the same. A foreclosure home, the same buyers can't buy that home. And what I mean by that is to buy a foreclosure, you have to have a buyer who's patient, who's willing to wait for a couple months on an answer, who doesn't have to move right away. Most people who are buying a home are getting out of a lease or sold a home, and they can't wait on the foibles of a foreclosure market, like someone who is an investor. Foreclosures really are more for investors and people with iron stomachs. There was a client I was working with last week, and I explained to her, before we do this, you need to have an iron stomach. If we're going to bid on a foreclosure, you're going to have an iron stomach. And it's funny, my wife laughed when she heard me say that. Well, 2 days later, she said, look, we're not going to make an offer on the house. My husband just is afraid to do it. Well, that's most people. Buying a foreclosure is a risk. When I go to the foreclosure market, one of the guys there, who just brilliant, he's the main auctioneer, said to me, I have two types of remorse at the foreclosure auction. People who don't get a house have remorse that they didn't get a house, and people who buy a house have remorse that they got a house and now they're afraid. So I would say it's really not the same. People who buy foreclosures are a different cat. They're a different animal than most home buyers. Sometimes the two will mix, but for the most part, they can't. They just don't mix.
When you list a home and you're preparing to market it and do your marketing plan, and knowing that a home is a big place for all your stuff, and the more mature you are, the older you get, the more stuff you have. How important is the staging process in a selling my home?
Now, if you're going to sell any home, and it's kind of funny, people associate staging with high-end homes. If you own an $80,000 condo, I highly recommend, you might say, oh, I can't afford a stager, but have someone with taste come to your house. But selling a high-end home, there's certain people who have a wonderful touch that I don't think need a stager. But for the most part, when you're selling a high-end home, getting a stager is essential. More importantly, when you have someone who has a home that is vacant, you work with somebody great like Connie Parsons, you work with somebody out there that you trust to really put someone in your home to make it look good. Vacant homes are tough to sell. And I've sold a lot of vacant homes. They're just tougher. They sit on the market longer. But when you have furniture in a home, you can create a movie. Remember about me talking about that brand? It's kind of funny. If people see a four-poster bed in a room, they realize that their four-poster bed will fit there. So there's something about creating a brand that's key. Putting the furniture in and staging a home is creating the brand. If you have a vacant home, you have a vanilla brand. So it really is important to work with somebody you trust.
Don't you think that vacant homes also scream out desperation? That somebody's already gone and they'll probably take a lower offer. Don't you think that's also the case?
It can. I think it depends. If a home's well taken care of on the outside, I don't think so much. But if I pull up to a home, I get caught up in curb appeal a lot too. You can't do a lot with the house until you get them in it. If the curb appeal's fantastic and you go into a vacant house, maybe not as much. But if the curb appeal's awful and then you get inside the house, absolutely. You get inside the house and it's vacant, absolutely it says those things. The more care you can have on your house, inside and outside, are important. And I think it's important too, you talk about home staging on the inside, that's important. It's important to have a great landscaper on the outside. It's important to talk to somebody who's really going to decorate and really set your house up to get them inside, because the first impression people have of your house is when they pull up in front of it.
You want a lasting impression. That's also Connie Parsons, our videographer today, and making sure it'll get up on the website probably by Monday. All shows are archived there. Connie Parsons with lasting impressions, and we appreciate her sponsoring the video today. And we're going to have her on another show because she's got a lot about staging and putting home managers in. So we got great information today. This show goes by so quickly, just too quick for me. But we're going to be back in just a short to talk about more Houston real estate today. If you have a question for either of my guests, it's info@HoustonRealEstateToday.com. Or if you want to check out the previous shows, it's on Houston Real Estate Today.